I'm always glad to see you on The Opinion, where we take a look at critical issues, especially the ones that is actually affecting we Nigerians, we the masses. I'm Jonathan Le Rama, welcoming you to another edition. And today we will be discussing on minimum wage. Recently, the federal government and of course the organized labor agreed on 70,000 naira, which some of us think the 70,000 naira cannot take us to where we actually want to be. But it is a starting point for all of us in Nigeria. My guest today will be the face that you've seen before. Yes, in person of Dr. Nda Umar Idris. He is former National ASUP Secretary and of course former Chairman of ASUP Federal Polytechnic Bida. Welcome back. Let me quickly just go straight to the discussion of today, which is minimum wage. And I have here Dr. Nda Umar Idris. Thank you for joining us once again, sir.
Thank you. You're welcome, Jonathan, once again.
Now, when you heard that it was agreed on 70,000 naira minimum wage, what was your reaction?
Truly, it was a mixed bag, really. A mixed bag. The least I expected to get as minimum wage should be 100,000. But from what we gathered from the NLC president and the TUC president, said they've done their best. And the challenge before then was the president pleaded with them and said, how can he raise the fund? And so the president offered to increase the pump price. And they said no. And of course, the president thinks that's the only way he can raise the fund. He needs money to be able to pay the 250 they asked for. However, the good thing is that he gave them another carrot, let me put it that way. Because instead of the 5 years, which the minimum wage is expected to last, now it has been reduced to 3 years. For me, it's a good thing. And for government, their belief is that the improvement in the minimum wage from 30,000 to 70,000 is about 130% increment. So to them, they've done well. That's what they feel. But for us, we are looking at the purchasing power of the naira. What 30,000 naira can buy 5 years ago, I'm sorry, 70,000 naira cannot buy it today. And that is our plight. But as commonly said, half bread is better than none.
It is certain that even the government knows that, yes, the 70,000 naira is not enough, especially when you go to the market to buy some food items. Now, what kind of regulation would you like the federal government to put in place to ensure that, yes, even the market people that are selling all those commodities did not increase the prices of these commodities for the common masses?
Well, it's to be difficult for government to put up regulation to that effect, but all they need to do is to ensure that there's production. Once we have production, once the market is flooded with food items, it will force the prices to go down. We're told that they are importing food items, which I want to believe is a temporary measure because that will also not solve the problem.
Yes, just
it's a temporary measure to force the prices down. So once the goods are here, let government support farmers with inputs, subsidized inputs, fertilizer, seedlings, and so on, so that they can encourage production in the country. And once we have bumper harvest, it will go to the market. Now, government must also ensure that the security is in place, because once security is not in place, our farmers cannot go to farm. So, government must ensure security of the farmlands so that our farmers can produce.
Now, since it's based on the field that's talking about the oil, where is our major source of revenue for the country, and that's what actually led to the 70,000 naira minimum wage. Should oil be only the source of revenue for Nigeria?
Not really. What we expect is for the country to diversify into other issues. And I remember the government before this, led by President Buhari, insisted that we must go into agriculture. We have the land, arable land, fertile land, to produce all we need and even export. And so government must encourage this. We must encourage agriculture. In the past, in the early 60s to early 70s, before the discovery of oil, we have agricultural produce. That's what we produce from the north, from the south, from the east. That's what we produce. We have cocoa from the west. We have rubber and palm from the east. We have groundnut, cotton, and so on from the north. And so we need to diversify. It is the discovery of oil that made us so lazy. Made us lazy. We found cheap money and never go back to it. And we must. That's why our textile industries close up. The pyramid, groundnut pyramid, is nowhere to be found again. And so we must diversify our income.
Now, let me quickly draw your attention to Niger State, where Governor Mohamed Umar Bago is actually promising the state and, of course, the country in general that Niger State will be a state that, yes, will produce food for the whole country in the coming years.
Let me be optimistic that it is feasible. It is possible. The Niger State, remember, in the landmass, Niger State has the highest landmass in Nigeria. So we have the land to produce the food. What we need is the wherewithal, that is the inputs, the financial support to be able to do it. And from what we have seen so far, the governor is showing interest and is matching his words with action so far. Yeah, the farm implements are available now. And he's also looking at the fertilizer. And he has asked all the civil servants to get acres of land, if possible. He is willing to support both financially and otherwise. So I think it is possible.
Where it's secured, then everybody can definitely
go to farm, and you are rest assured that you won't be kidnapped.
Exactly. That's the fear.
That's the fear, yeah.
All right, you see, watching The Opinion on Amare TV, and I still have Dr. Nda Umar Idris, and we've been discussing on minimum wage, and of course the things that actually surrounds the minimum wage of 70,000 naira. We'll be right back after this time out. Stay with us. Glad to know that you are still with us on The Opinion on Amare TV, and I still have Dr. Nda Umar Idris, and we've been discussing on minimum wage. Now let's quickly turn our attention to the contribution of various states when it comes to this minimum wage implementation. The federal government have put it into law now, and it's part of the constitution, the 3 years to be reviewed. How effective, or which kind of steps will you want the governors of the states, because it's boils down now to the state? The federal government have done their own part. What kind of steps are you expecting, or will you like governors to take in implementing the 70,000 naira minimum wage?
Thank you. I know that once there is an improvement in the, do I say salary or allowances of the political office holders, circulars are passed from the federal government down to the state, and they don't even discuss it. They implement it fully. And So this is minimum wage, which is an act of the National Assembly. So it is compulsory. Minimum wage, determination of minimum wage is on the exclusive list. It is only the federal government, specifically the National Assembly, that can legislate on it. Now that is a law, because I understand the president has signed it. Now is a law. All the state government need to do is to get back to their state and ensure the implementation. Simple. They are not to make law of another minimum wage. No, they are to implement. What they need to just work on is the consequential adjustment. And I want to believe that no state in Nigeria today that cannot afford to pay the 70,000 naira minimum wage. In fact, it will interest you to know that Edo and Lagos commenced even before the signing into law of the 70,000 naira minimum wage. And with the resources accruing to states since the removal of fuel subsidy, clearly shows that all states can pay. The only thing, even the states that want to struggle, all they need to do is to get their priority right. Once they get their priorities right, avoid extravagant spending, cut the cost of governance, they can afford and they can pay minimum wage and still have enough to work for the people. And then it's now left for the council, the chairman of council, to put up their thinking cap. They should think out of the box how they're going to generate revenue to ensure the payment of minimum wage. It's about government going extra mile to do other things apart from paying the minimum wage. Why not provide adequate transportation? That I don't even need to fuel my car to go to work. You understand? Provide the necessary basic facilities. Once you can do that, you realize that perhaps the money, the 70,000 naira, might not take the minimum worker home, but it may be close to home. And so let government provide enough incentives. Let them provide basic education, basic schools with the right functional education, with the right equipment. Instead of taking my child to a private school, I go to a government school where maybe I pay a token or nothing at all. I should be able to access health care at a minimum cost instead of going to a private clinic. And so once that is done, the workers will have a place to go. And so if you want to go to private clinic, you know you are buoyant to do that. If you want to take your child to a private school, you know you are buoyant. So let the public schools be well equipped. Let the public health centers be well equipped and that they pay less. Once these things are put in place, the minimum wage, even though cannot take them home, they will not be far from home.
Now, let me quickly ask you this. Do the delay in the review of the minimum wage contribute to the economic crisis that Nigerians are actually facing now?
It does. It does. Because particularly that the fuel subsidy was abruptly removed, and the prices, definitely we expect the prices to go up, and there is no commensurate increase in our take home. And so, of course, it's affected. Now that they have approved the new minimum wage, we are also yet to receive it. Meanwhile, inflation has taken over already. 6 months to the expiration of the minimum wage, a tripartite agreement is put in, a committee is put in place, an agreement to reach, discuss, within 2-3 months, they will be over. You understand? Once they agree, the president sends it to National Assembly. And then the next thing is implementation, seamless.
Thank you very much for your time, Doctor. And hope next we call on you, you'll be available for us.
Yeah, it will always be my pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I've been speaking with Dr. Nda Omar Idris on minimum wage. He has actually done justice to today's edition of The Opinion. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and of course, share. You can also be my guest in one of the editions. by visiting all our social media platforms. Until next week, when I will come your way with another interesting edition of the program, The Opinion, I'm Jonathan Le Rama. Enjoy your day and remain blessed.